I appreciate
All right.
that. Savage move by Bill O'Brien in Houston's 1-point win over Jacksonville, flowing so nicely this morning. After Brock Osweiler's second pick in a quarter, the Texans coach didn't feel he was living up to his $37 million guaranteed. Osweiler was benched for Tom Savage, who has never started an NFL game.
I just try to make decisions in the best interest of the team. Any decision that we make here is always made in the best interest of the team. And at that point in time, I just felt like that was the best decision at that point in time for the team. And we don't make decisions on, how much a guy gets paid. We make decisions on what's the best way to win a game. I thought both guys, Brock and Tom, handled it like the professionals that they are. Very professional, the way they handled it. And we'll see what happens next week.
Stephen A., let's go there, because that's what we do here on First Take.
Yep.
Is Osweiler done in Houston?
I believe he is. And let me explain why. He just got there. It's just one season. It's a $72 million contract. It's $37 million guaranteed. I understand, that. And I'll tell you a real quick story, y'all. When I had, quite frankly, on ESPN 2 years ago, I had a guest on my show with me for an hour. His name was our president-elect, Donald Trump. And he threw out this story. He said, when you go to a bank and you borrow $3 million and you can't pay it back, you got a problem. But when you go to a bank and you borrow $300 million and you can't pay it back, we got a problem. He said the moral of the story is the more you convince somebody to invest in you, the more they must ensure your success. I never forgot that. And I think about that when I think about Brock Osweiler, because I'm thinking about the fact that you've invested all of this money in him. So the belief is, okay, we got to support him. Here's the problem. Your fan base doesn't. And when you are a quarterback, it's one thing when you get drafted and you get booed because people don't know no damn better, okay? And then you get to go up in there and perform. That's one thing. People are being presumptuous. But when you go out there and you actually do perform and they see your performance and they're booing you, ooh, that's bad. Because you have no credibility, no resume, no cachet to fall back on. So from that point forward, it's an uphill climb. And I don't believe Brock Osweiler has the makeup to overcome that in Houston, which is why I take the position that I take. I think he's done in Houston.
He's done because he's not good. He never was good.
I'm just saying.
Those Pac-12 quarterbacks, remember that little era where it was like Andrew Luck, and then there was Matt Barkley, and there was Osweiler, and there was Foles. Congratulations to them, because not Barkley, but Foles and Osweiler actually had a little run in the NFL. That's not easy. But
Barkley kind of is.
Barkley's doing a good job in Chicago.
Yeah.
The point is they stuck more or less in the NFL, and some of them started, and Nick Foles had a good year under a certain system and everything. So that's not nothing. That's something that's better than most. But they're just not that good. Andrew Luck was a stud, and the rest of them just not that good. And Osweiler is tall. That's true. He was tall in college. That we can all see that. He just has never been that good. It was a mistake to give him the contract. And Tom Savage, by the way, Bill O'Brien is, to me, the hero of the story. Because in a league where you see head coaches consistently make cowardly decisions based on the fear of being second-guessed and the way the orthodoxy says they should do things, it's by the book, not going for it on fourth down, etc. This was a gutsy call for him to say, you sit down with all that money they owe him, and bring in a guy off the bench who leads a comeback win. To me, that's the big story. But he's
know the coaching tree comes from Bill Belichick.
That's right. But in terms of the Osweiler question, he's done because he's not that good.
Okay, let's really break this whole thing down. And I think that he's not done. Now, does he have the mental makeup? No, I don't believe he does, because he doesn't understand about having success. Now, when you understand about having success, you understand how to prepare for success. For a guy who struggled in Denver, went over to Houston, struggled from the beginning of the season, didn't even find his number one wide receiver since the time he's been in there. And all of a sudden, Savage comes in, and they target Hopkins so many times with Savage in there. It says a lot about this young man and his mental makeup. But let's go back to Bill O'Brien. Besides Tom Brady, what quarterbacks has he ever groomed to get ready and be an elite type of quarterback?
Hasn't happened.
There you go. That's something no one talks about. This offense, how many other quarterbacks have been very successful in this offense? Take Tom Brady out.
Tom Savage.
What, in a half? And remember, he was a draft
got a great
pick.
last name.
He was a draft pick by Bill O'Brien.
Right.
Now, why isn't
fourth rounder?
Well, right, but I'm saying from Pittsburgh, a lot of people talked about his upside. Yeah. But why hasn't he played leading up until this point? because he's not ready. So why are you now all of a sudden going to throw him in there when you, at this particular point, still have a chance of making the playoffs, to throw a young man in there that you know is not ready to play
Are you saying
a
it's
full
a
game?
prerequisite to be a coach in the NFL or a successful coach? Are you saying it's the most important thing, or it's just something that you have to have as a prerequisite to develop a quarterback? In other words, if you can't do that, you're DQ'd?
If you're an offensive-minded coach and you started being a quarterback coach, then an offensive coordinator, you should have on your resume that you've groomed a quarterback, and we can look back and say, well, you know what? That's a guy that was coached by Bill O'Brien. We can say the same thing about Josh McDaniels. Has Josh McDaniels been responsible for Tom Brady's success? And what other quarterback has been successful in his offense? Kyle Orton, Tim Tebow? No. See, this is the thing.
You're not sold on Bill O'Brien.
I'm not sold on Bill O'Brien and this offense either. This is not an offense that's best suited for the talent that you have. Now, we talked about Pac-12 quarterbacks. They haven't been successful. So what type of quarterback is Brock Osweiler? He's not a quarterback. But he's Ryan Mallett. He's Ryan Mallett to me.
But here's the problem.
Oof.
This is what they say about Brock Osweiler now. Season-long tendencies of being indecisive, holding the football too long, frequently overthrowing receivers, and forcing ill-advised passes. This is their critique of Brock Osweiler. Look at what I just said. Those 4 things that I just said. That don't sound like no damn quarterback to me.
Well, it don't sound like a quarterback
passes, holding on the football too long.
Well, of course they don't say that, because at this particular point, we've seen that.
All right, then.
So they're trying to cover themselves. So what are we going to hear about Tom Savage if he decides to start from 5 or 6 or 7 games? No experience, strong arm, inaccurate.
Donovan McNabb, give it to me straight. Are they wrong when they say Brock Osweiler looks indecisive? He's holding on to the football too long?
No.
He's overthrowing passes? That don't sound like a damn quarterback is what I'm trying to say.
We can also say that about Brian Hoyer. We can also say that about Ryan Mallett. We can say that everybody that's been in that offense. But these are guys that have been in that offense.
Are you saying that in another offense, Osweiler's a good NFL quarterback?
If the offensive coach catered the offense around his ability, you just paid him that money.
What is his ability?
His ability has a strong arm, get the ball downfield. Nothing to do with intermediate.
That sounds like Jamarcus Russell. He had a strong arm with the ability to get the ball down the field.
Were they both high draft picks?
Excuse me, and he was, listen.
That means the scouting department is not that good.
Mr. Jabba the Hutt himself, who should have been arrested for stealing money.
Why you got to talk about his size?
Look, he was eating burgers. That's why. Instead of being in the field room and practicing. That's why.
I have one question, yes or no, because we have to go to break. You talked about his mental makeup, that he doesn't have the right mental makeup. Can that be coached, or is that innate as a quarterback
That's
to be
something
successful?
you're born with. That's just something you're born with. But I think he starts next week.
All right. Donovan, so good to see you. And now I have to say until next week. We're going to see you on Friday.
See you on Friday.
Every Monday and Friday.
On national television and defended Brock Osweiler.
He's going to start next week.
All right.
Could Andy Reid do something with Brock Osweiler?
Yes, he could. Did it with Nick Foles.
Coming up.